FIREBITE is an Australian supernatural fantasy. Basically, it's Indigenous vampire hunters, and it's set right here in South Australia, my home state. And look, I'm only 3 episodes in. I think there's 8 episodes, so there's 5 more to go. So this is just the first impressions, but I'm putting it straight out there. I'm giving this 5 boomerangs, vampire killing weapon things out of 5. So far, this is one of the best things I've seen all year. It's fucking sick. I don't know if it's going to stay out of 5 because I'm only 3 episodes in, but so far, I'm absolutely fucking loving it. I know vampire stuff recently, or just always, has been a bit cringy because, they're all kind of gooby and just a bit weird, and then there's fucking thou that shan't be named. Kind of fucking ruined everything. But this is good, man. I've always loved the concept of vampires, feasting on the mortal to become immortal. I think that timelessness, the beings that live forever and ever and are just fucking bored with the world because they've been around for so long, I think that even though it's been done to death, I think that concept is still really interesting. And this has a very unique spin on it. It's created by a dude called Warwick Thornton. He's done a few award-winning things in Australia, and it has a very Indigenous-centric cast, and it's very unique. So without spoiling too much, you pretty much learn this in the first 5 seconds of the first episode. Basically, it puts a bit of a spin on colonialism. So basically, when the British went out and invaded everywhere, they also brought with them vampires. Now, these vampires got addicted to Indigenous blood. The black blood somehow, it's like the most delicious thing. So they don't really hunt white folk. They do convert white people. I guess they're racist vampires. I don't know. But they'll kidnap white folk, turn them into vampires, but they feed on the Indigenous cultures. Now, the premise is that all the way around the world, most of the vampires have been extinct. They've been wiped out because what happened was the Indigenous folks started this class of vampire slayers, black vampire slayers called blood hunters. And that's what this is all about. The last of the blood hunters and the last of the vampires. So, because most of the vampires around the world have been wiped out, and around, at least I think it's the world, very much so in Australia, this show focuses on the last remaining vampire clan. And it's set in a town in South Australia called Cooper, which is like where 90% of the world's opals come from, or something outrageous. It's the biggest opal mining town in the world. And it's a spooky place because it's so fucking hot there. Everything's underground, but it's all like in these caverns. So everyone's home is underground, more or less. There's a few little above ground dwellings, but most things are cut into the side of like hills and things like that. And I think this is a 1999 statistic. There's like 250,000 open mine shafts. So everywhere you go in Cooper. Now I used to live in Darwin, and I lived in Adelaide, and then Darwin and Adelaide. So I've gone up and down the Stuart Highway maybe 15 times. So I've passed through Cooper at least 15, 20 fucking times, right? So I'm very familiar with the town. In fact, I might even be able to find some footage of me going down one of these mine shafts. So basically, there's mine shafts everywhere. There's signs everywhere saying, watch out. And they reference this in the show, eyes to the ground, keep your eyes to the ground. There's signs saying, don't go out at night. There's all these rumors of people dumping bodies there. Like, Cooper is it's one of the more unique towns in this country. And it's fucking spooky, man. So basically, you have these 1 meter mine shafts everywhere, scattered all through the desert. They go really far down, 10, 15 meters underground. I'm not sure the actual stats. But then once you're down there, the mines open up into these huge caverns. So you have this massive underground network, probably hundreds of kilometers of connected caverns. So during the day, the vampires live underground in these hundreds of kilometers of caverns. And at night, they pop up out of the holes and feed on the Indigenous folk. And it's really interesting because, like I said, there's 250,000 at least open mine shafts in Cooper. So can you imagine that? There's these tiny little holes, and the vampires pop up at night and pull people down there and feed on them. It's a very interesting concept. It's got some comical elements to it, but it's mostly a thriller drama. And look, the cast is amazing. Like, the actors are great. It's quite gory as well. The action is pretty sweet, and it's spooky, man. Like, the whole concept is quite scary. And maybe some people out there are, oh, here we go, white people suck, oh, I don't want to watch another. No, that's the premise, but it's not really about that. At the end of the day, yeah, there's a lot of sort of racial stuff going on in this, which, we should be able to talk about that. But really, it's about this ancient war between humans and vampires. So it's still just a vampire thriller at the end of the day with a bit of a twist. And the fact that it's set in this weird, spooky desert town just adds a whole other element to it. Well, so far, I'm absolutely fucking loving it. It's deadly, man. Like, this is pretty cool. I hope the next 5 episodes are as good or if not better than the first 3. In Australia, we don't get heaps of high budget stuff because we just don't have the money for it. We don't have that huge machine that is Hollywood. So most of the stuff, Australia puts out some pretty good shit, but most of it's sort of crime drama or, you know, a few comedies because they're just easier to make given the budget limitations, right? So this is really cool to have something that is quite high budget. It appears to be high budget anyway. It's still, you know, all set in this one town, but, you know, the special effects are good, the vampires look spooky, and at the end of the day, it's a good old-fashioned vampire thriller with a bit of a twist. I think that's really cool. So if you're looking for something like that, check it out. I'll probably do some kind of breakdown at the end of it, like a full review or an explanation video that everybody says is just a recap, because it is. But so far, yeah, this is a great show. Fucking check it out.